Hi, I'm Dr. Henry Black. I'm a clinical professor of internal medicine at the New York University School of Medicine in the Center for the Prevention of Cardiovascular Disease and president of the American Society of Hypertension. In our economic downturn now, where we all are aware that healthcare is an important cause of spending money, an important reason we spend money, there's been a renewed interest in using generic products. I want to talk a little bit about that and what is really a generic and what does a generic drug have to do to be approved. Now, there are some generics that are clearly beneficial. For example, hydrochlorothiazide, introduced in 1957, is now extremely inexpensive, and I don't think there's any question that that's what we ought to be using. What does a generic company have to do to get approved? Well, surprisingly little. What a generic company has to do is show bioequivalence, that is, they reach the same blood level as the branded product within 20%. That's pretty much all. One thing that disturbs me in the blood pressure and in the cholesterol business is that we're now pretty convinced that small differences in blood pressure or cholesterol can have very important long-term outcomes. So the fact that you achieve the same blood level, does that mean you will achieve the same reductions in blood pressure or cholesterol? I'm not so sure we know that. In my opinion, and this is my opinion, I think we should ask generic companies that would like us to use their drugs instead, that they achieve a biological outcome that's similar to what you achieve with a branded product. So, for example, we now have generic amlodipine, which is not as inexpensive as generic hydrochlorothiazide. We have branded amlodipine called Norvasc, which was a very popular and best-selling drug. But I'm not sure that if I give 5 milligrams of Norvasc or 5 milligrams of generic amlodipine, that I'm going to get the same reduction in blood pressure. I think it would be relatively simple for the Food and Drug Administration to require a generic company that wants to put out a product to show that they reduce blood pressure, not get to the same blood level, but that they reduce blood pressure equivalently over a relatively short period of time, say 30 days or 60 days. This wouldn't have to be a large trial because we could see within probably 50 or 100 patients, maybe a few more, whether it's equally good. We think the side effects of Norvasc, the branded amlodipine, we know what they are. We know how much edema there is. We know when the edema appears. Is it the same with the generic? I don't know. Some people have been critical of the fact that industry has put samples in our cabinets and we use those. I would be happy to use some generic products if some generic company gave me samples, because samples are not necessarily like the old dope peddler where you hook your patient on a particular thing. I see no cost benefit or effectiveness when you give a generic product, even if it's just 30 days and relatively inexpensive, if the patient can't tolerate it. Give me some samples. I'd be much more likely to use them than I currently am. There was a recent article talking about the ALLHAT study and the use of generic diuretics and how there has not been the uptake that people expected. One of the things that was not in that article was a cost effectiveness analysis done by the ALLHAT study, and also very similar to what the National Institute for Clinical Excellence in Britain did. It turned out that looking at long-term things, even with the price of branded amlodipine, the most cost-effective drug was the calcium antagonist, not chlorthalidone. Somehow that wasn't reported and really should be. So whereas generics are certainly important and I think critical, we've got to be careful. We've got to look at them. They've got to justify their existence, in my opinion, on something other than cost. Thank you very much.